This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me. So many great content creators out there making content on the Niners on a daily basis. So anytime you decide to hang out here with me, I certainly appreciate that. And obviously, in 2025, there are so many ways and avenues to get your Niners content, whether it be print, digital, radio, podcasting, YouTube. So for you to choose us, I do appreciate that. Coming up on the show, we have some Niners trade rumors to get to following the Nick Bosa injury. John Lynch said it himself. Niners could look to make a move. I also want to check in on two rookies who I think have been playing very well as members of this 2025 draft class. Before we get to all of that, can we get to 173,000 subscribers with this video? We can accomplish that because we've done something like this before. As you see, 172,536 people are subscribed to the channel. That means we're 464 people away from hitting that next milestone. What you get when you lock us in, daily free Niners shows that are insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, where you have a voice. So join the movement today. So after the Nick Bosa ACL season-ending injury, the big question becomes, and this has been a big pertinent question all week, and it's going to continue to linger going into the NFL trade deadline, will the 49ers make a trade for a defensive end? And obviously, when you lose a player like Bosa, there's no replacing a guy like that. He's truly elite. He's been one of the top pass rushers in the game since he came into the league in 2019. One Defensive Player of the Year in 2022 with 18 and a half sacks. The year before that, he had 15 and a half sacks. I know he missed some time in 2024, still highly productive. I know his sack numbers went down in 2023, still a stellar player. And what's unfortunate about this Bosa injury, Robert Saleh was in his bag with utilizing Bosa, with where he lined up along the defensive line. We saw Bosa lining up at defensive end, defensive tackle on both sides, right defensive end, right defensive tackle, and on the left side as well. And I thought with the way that Bosa was playing the first two games of the year, he was on his way to having an all-pro caliber season. And he was putting up some great numbers, and the eye test, he was so impressive. The power, the twitch, the pass rush arsenal, the ability to help close out games the first two games of the year. He had an overall PFF grade of 86.3, a run defense grade of 65.6. I thought he made some really nice backside tackles. His pass rush grade, 80.3. He had 10 pressures in 2+ games, 6 hurries in 2+ games, 2 hits, 1 forced fumble, 2 sacks, and that came on 70 pass rush snaps. And what was crazy to me going into 2025 was how much slander Bosa was getting. So many people saying he really hasn't been that good. Unfortunately, as part of that argument, a lot of people were saying he's been injury prone. And unfortunately, Bosa is becoming a pretty injury prone player, partially torn ACL as a high school senior in 2015, the core muscle surgery, his final year at Ohio State, tore his ACL in 2020, year 2, had that groin injury last year, now the torn ACL. So he's lost a lot of time as a football player, unfortunately. But even with the sack numbers going down after the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year season, look at where Bosa still graded out among all edge rushers. And obviously, we showed you the numbers with where he was trending toward in 2025. So when he wins DPOY 2022, 90.9 overall PFF grade, ranked 3rd in the NFL. The following year, he didn't sign that contract until the week of the season opener, right? And so his sack numbers were slow to get going, but he was still a dominant player. 92.7 PFF grade, that ranked 2nd at the position that year. And then last year, a 91 overall Pro Football Focus grade that ranked 4th, and he missed those 3 games. And the groin injury was said to be a lot worse than what he said. As far as his pass rush grade, 2022, 90.9, ranked 3rd. 2023, it was better, and he's still ranked 3rd. And then last year, a down season for Bosa, 89.3. That ranked 4th. His pressure numbers. You know what's crazy about this? He didn't have the sack totals in 2023 that he had in 2022, but he did have more pressures. Up from 90, he went to 95, and then last year in 14 games, 69 pressures, that ranks 6th. His sack numbers, 2022, number 1. PFF doesn't count half sacks, so they always go up. So he had 19 according to PFF, that ranked number 1. 2023, he had 14, that ranked 10th. Still in 2024, missing those 3 games, 10 sacks, still ranked 15th. So that goes to show you he's an elite player, one of the most disruptive defensive players in the game, a generational type of talent, and you just can't replace a guy like that. And so moving forward, the Niners defensive line is going to look as such. Bryce Huff going to start at one defensive end spot, Mykel Williams at the other. Your backups, Yetur Gross-Matos, Sam Okuwanu, Robert Beal has been added to the active roster. At defensive tackle, you have Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, CJ West, Alfred Collins. All of those players I think have played very well. But without Bosa, obviously you're not as elite at defensive end, but it also hurts your depth a little bit. And this is an important point that I've continued to make. I think this is what the 49ers do in the wake of losing Nick Bosa for the year. They're not going to make a trade over the next week or 2. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, and the 49ers operation as a whole wants to see how this defense plays without Nick Bosa and how they fare without one of their top defensive players. And they're going to gauge where this defense is at over the next few weeks. And led by a great defensive mind in Bosa or in Robert Saleh, if they play really well, maybe they don't make a trade. If they really struggle to generate pressure on the opposing quarterback, then they'll reevaluate where they are at the defensive end spot. And then going into the deadline here in several weeks, that's when they can strike. That's when they can potentially make a trade for a defensive end to replace Bosa's production. Now, Lynch, as far as him making a trade, looking really good in that suit jacket, by the way. I could rock something like that, Johnny. I like the look, obviously, with the Niners colors there. Lynch was asked about this on Thursday on the radio, and he hinted toward the Niners potentially making a move. He said this, "Of course, we're always looking. That's our job. We're not afraid. We've been effective in doing that. This is no different. I do think we're a deep group there, and that depth's going to be tested. We'll see what's out there at the appropriate time." When he mentions appropriate time, he's not talking about right now in the immediacy of losing Bosa. He's talking about gauging where this team is at and how they play in the lead up to the deadline. And Chip, I like how you went full screen here because Lynch also mentioned something else. He mentioned the Niners being aggressive. Say what you want about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan running the organization, right? They've been very aggressive in trying to improve their ball club. And you think all the way back to the moves that they have made in season to improve their team. Traded for Jimmy Garoppolo early on. Traded for Emmanuel Sanders in 2019. Traded for Jordan Willis. Traded for Charles Omenihu. I believe they traded for Arden Key. That may have been a free agency acquisition. But if not, traded for Chase Young. Traded for Christian McCaffrey. They have made moves in season to improve their roster, especially when they look at themselves as contenders. And with the Niners getting off to a 3-0 start, they have shown that they are contenders in the NFC, in my opinion, because they're really playing good football in all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. And so I've thrown out a bunch of trade targets who the Niners could go after. My dream targets, Trey Hendrickson is number 1 by far. 17.5 sacks the last 2 years. No player in the NFL has more. Trayvon Walker is a young player who the Jags have not signed to a long-term contract extension. He's a terrific player. And the thing is, with the way that the Niners run their defense, whether it's Nick Bosa once he comes back, Mykel Williams, or if they acquire a player, you can have all of them on the field at the same time because they can play defensive end or defensive tackle in the NASCAR package. Kayvon Thibodeau is a young player who I really like, a former first-round pick who's having a good 2025. The Giants, they have Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. He's under contract next year as well. Jalen Phillips, really good athlete, is recovered from that torn Achilles. Obviously, he's rounding into form, but when healthy, an exceptional talent. And if the Niners wanted to go after a veteran who's not going to cost as much, who's one of the best defensive ends of all time, you go Cameron Jordan. Not the player who he was in his prime, but as a rotational player, as a guy who's played in a lot of big games, who can still get after the quarterback, who you don't have to mortgage the farm for, I really like him. And then other Bosa replacements here, Jermaine Johnson, another young player who also tore his Achilles. Carl Granderson playing well for the Saints. He has 3.5 sacks so far. Azeez Ojulari has been a healthy scratch every week for the Eagles. Joe Tryon, a former first-round pick who didn't work out for the Bucs, but is now playing in a wide 9 with Cleveland. And then Kwity Paye, who has familiarity with Gus Bradley, who's now on this Niners staff. He had 8 sacks under Bradley last year. All right, still to come here on the show. We checked the box of some potential trade targets, talking about some trade rumors for the Niners after that Nick Bosa injury. I want to check in on a couple of rookies. So we'll do that on the other side. But I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Tushy. Thank you so much to Tushy for making today's San Francisco 49ers report possible. This is such a great product, and I encourage you to buy it because it's going to change your life. A healthy butt is something that is great for your hygiene, but it also makes you feel good. What is Tushy? It's the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and your bottom health for life. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Tushy Wave instantly modernizes your daily routine and bathroom with a super sleek seat plus 2 separate front and rear nozzles for the most complete clean. It also features a soft close lid and seat that's slam-proof for a gentle, luxurious finish. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. This is daily decadence with practical benefits. Over half the people who wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids, and 9 out of 10 people reduce itching and discomfort. Tushy bidet gives you 2-in-1 benefits: reducing irritation and preventing micro tears with soothing water instead of scratchy, cheap toilet paper or damaging wet wipes. It's also easy to use. Sit, cleanse, and dry using the built-in air dryer. That's right. Cleaning yourself after using the bathroom is now hands-free. Remember, a-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code CHAT at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com/chat when you use the promo code CHAT. Let's check in on a couple of rookies here. And I think as a whole, the 49ers 2025 draft class is shaping up and shaping out to be a really special class. This is on top of what the Niners did in 2024. And I really like the returns of the 2024 class as well. And when you hit on consecutive drafts, if you continue to hit in the draft, it just allows you to be a viable, consistent contender because you're able to just continue to have really deep, talented, and deep, affordable rosters, which is an ideal team-building strategy. As for Mykel Williams, first overall pick for San Francisco, 11th overall in the draft. The pressure leaders going into week 4 among rookies. Mykel Williams tied for second alongside James Pearce, right behind Abdul Carter, who has 11 pressures to start the year. And Mykel has really turned it on the last 2 weeks. He did not play well week 1 against Seattle, but there was a reason for that. He's come out the last 2 weeks and he's played dominant football, whether he's playing defensive end or defensive tackle. He's played with violence. He's played with physicality. He's played with a lot of power. And in the last 2 games against the Saints and the Cardinals, he's tallied 9 pressures. So all of his pressures have come the last 2 games. He's also had 6 stops, and he's been excellent as a run defender. That's why the Niners drafted him. They knew and thought he was going to be an elite edge setter and run defender from the jump and then develop into a good pass rusher. Well, he's already an elite run defender, and right before our eyes, he's turning into a really solid pass rusher from defensive tackle and defensive end. And so for those reasons, I love his versatility, but I mentioned him not getting off to a good start week 1 against Seattle. He didn't play at all in the preseason. He was injured a lot the last couple of weeks of the preseason. And so that first game was kind of like a preseason game for him. And while he didn't register any numbers on the stat sheet, Mykel Williams helped to collapse the pocket, push the pocket. He absorbed some double teams on some really critical plays, and he made his presence be known. Here's what John Lynch said about his first-round selection from April's draft. I think Mykel Williams is going to be a fantastic player. He's just scratching the surface of how effective and dominant of a player he can be. So that's one rookie who's really opened my eyes. And by the way, Alfred Collins, CJ West, they've gotten better the last 2 weeks. Marquise Siegel has been starting, and so they've played pretty well. But I also want to talk about Upton Stout. The biggest play of the game, arguably, was the Upton Stout pass breakup on 3rd and long with the clock winding down when he was able to fight through the catch point, fight to the end of the play, and dislodge that football from Zay Jones. This was such a high-level play by Upton Stout where if he doesn't make this play, the Cardinals pick up a first down because it looked like they were going to pick up the first down because originally Zay Jones caught that ball, and they would have won the game because they would have been able to run the clock out because at that point, San Francisco only had one timeout left. And I had some Cardinals fans responding to some of my tweets this week saying the Cardinals lost that game. The Niners didn't earn it. The Cardinals choked that game away. They should have won. I'm never a fan of when people say things like that. The opportunity was there for the taking. Upton Stout made a great play. And then as a team, the Niners snatched that game from the jaws of defeat. They won it, and they earned it. They got the ball back. Mac Jones drives the Niners down right down the field, and then Eddie Pinheiro splits the uprights for a clutch kick. That is a hard-earned victory and a quality victory against a quality opponent. Classic Cardinals fan behavior. Here's what John Lynch said about Stout, and specifically that aforementioned play. It wasn't looking really good against Arizona. We got them to that 3rd and 9. Upton Stout did what he's done since day one out here. Finish the play. It looked like they had a catch, but Upton has that fight mentality that he's going to go to the very end, and he got the ball out. That got us the ball back, and then Mac Jones was clutch, led us on a game-winning drive by throwing to a number of different targets. It was fun to watch. The guys are finding a way to win. And that's partially why this Niners season to start the year has been so fun, been so entertaining. I think that's why a lot of fans are excited about this ball club. That youth movement and the youth energy, it's palpable. You can feel it. And this is what Upton Stout did, by the way, at Western Kentucky. This is what Upton Stout has done since rookie minicamp into OTAs training camp. This guy is a baller. He's nasty. He's tenacious. He has really good ball skills, and he's really strong. He led all DBs at the NFL Combine in the bench press. He also runs like 4.3, 4.4, and you've seen those skills translate. He's also a very highly graded run defender to start the year, and he might be 5'8", but he packs a punch at 5'8", and has been very good against the run as well. So I do leave you with this question. I want you to answer it for me down in the comment section right now. Which 49ers rookie has been your favorite player so far? Let me know, and thanks for watching.